everyone, so in this video I'm going to be talking about the worst Thanksgiving I have ever had in my entire life. So, the only Thanksgiving I had at the college, I had a lot of good expectations for it. They definitely know how to throw a party there. So fellowshipping was always something that they did great there, despite everything else. So we were planning on having a big Thanksgiving party with the entire church, and they were going to have Thanksgiving dinner there, and each of the dorm girls were supposed to make a side dish. So I made deviled eggs. It was going pretty well, but then the pastor came and he told all of us dorm girls that he wanted us to keep our phones in the dorm, and he didn't want us to take our phones with us to the party. So immediately I was saddened, because that meant that I didn't get to talk to my parents at all or my family at all on Thanksgiving. I became really depressed very quickly about it, because I was looking forward to that time for me to celebrate with them, even though it was long distance and even though it was just over the phone. I was really looking forward to that because I hadn't talked to them in such a long time. I was honestly the whole time fighting back tears, and I felt horrible. So I was trying to make myself happier, and I was trying to make myself appear to be happy because I didn't want to cause attention to how I was feeling, because I didn't want to have to talk to anybody about it. As I was making my deviled eggs and helping out in the kitchen at the dorm with the other girls, I would pass my phone and I would glance at it, not touch it, but I would glance at the screen, and it would show the little missed calls and the little tiny bits of the messages that my parents were sending me. It was awful because I desperately wanted to pick up the phone and call them and talk to them, but I knew that I wasn't allowed to. And I didn't feel like breaking the rules, only because whenever you broke a rule, it was such a big deal. It wasn't the thing where you were just reprimanded and that was the end of it. It was something that was constantly brought up, and I really wanted to avoid that headache of a situation. So they were trying to contact me, and my mom was sending me messages and sending me pictures of Thanksgiving, and my grandparents were trying to call me, and my friends were texting me, and I couldn't reply to any of it, and I couldn't talk to anyone. I had to be solely focused on the party that was going on there. And later in the day, towards the nighttime, after obviously anybody's festivities would be over in Maryland, the pastor told all of us that we could call our parents now. Well, honestly, I knew that if I started talking to them, then I would just be a mess. I would be an emotional wreck. And it's funny because I ended up sobbing violently. I mean, my face was so red. I mean, I am an ugly crier when I really get into it, and I was full on ugly crying on a couch in the auditorium. They had a bunch of couches set up, and I was sobbing, and I was just rolled up in a little ball, crying my eyes out. I was a mess. I was a huge mess. They just kind of let me cry, and they didn't really even care that I was having such an obviously horrible Thanksgiving away from my family, and I couldn't talk to them the entire time. So yeah, obviously I'm kind of sad about it. Thinking about it just makes me angry that, they saw somebody who was obviously in such emotional distress and they didn't say anything, and they didn't try to comfort me at all. And they still didn't let me talk to my parents. So finally, when they actually said I could talk to my parents, it was late at night. I really didn't want to call them, but the pastor went and set up a FaceTime call with my parents in his office, and I actually got to be there alone. But I was so afraid that he was listening in the other room. I was so afraid of that. So I really kind of had to put on a mask and just act like everything was okay. And I really didn't even have a good conversation with them, because I was very careful about what I said. I really didn't let anything on. I wasn't myself. So it just made everything worse for me to call them and have to not be myself. And I feel like I couldn't share with them that I was feeling or what was going on or anything like that. Shortly after that, I got sick. I got really, really sick and ended up losing about 10 pounds. Now, I've never been like a super thin person, but for me to lose 10 pounds in a week was pretty drastic. I had laryngitis and strep throat at the same time, so I couldn't talk, I couldn't scream, I couldn't do anything. No sound was coming out of my mouth at all. Before that actually happened, I felt really sick and my back hurt and I was achy and I knew that I was really sick. So I asked the dorm supervisor, I said, please, can you take me to the doctors? I really don't feel well. I have insurance. That's not an issue. I have money to go to the doctors. Can you please take me? And she said, no, let's wait it out. And they wouldn't take me to doctors. I asked them repeatedly to take me to the doctors and they wouldn't. And as each day went by, I got sicker and sicker and I had a fever every single day. Every single day I had a fever and they still wouldn't take me. And it got to the point where I got so sick that I couldn't even talk. So finally one morning I wrote down on a piece of paper, I said, please take me to the doctors. I really need to go. I can't even talk. That's how bad it is. So she finally took me to the doctors. And I went there and I was so sick that the doctor actually asked me if I had been out of the country because she thought I had some weird disease. That's how sick I was. I had lost a lot of weight. I couldn't even talk. I was feverish. So I was insanely sick. It was horrible. And they let it go on so long that, by the time I got medicine, it took me a long time to recover from it. And I couldn't even sing, and yet they forced me to try to sing when I got my voice back in their singing group. And they would get on me when I wasn't smiling or I wasn't singing loud enough because I was in pain, because my voice hurt and my throat hurt because I was still getting over sickness. So they really didn't care, or at least they didn't show that they cared, and they just didn't do anything about it. So it's really frustrating for me. So I'm going to end the video there, and I'm going to have one more video about my experience, drop it all up, and then I'm going to have my friend from college there who left a couple months after me tell her side of the story and tell her experience there. And then I'm going to stop talking about that, and then I'm going to go on to more fun things, lighter things, funnier things, and I'm going to have a lot more fun with the vlog. So I hope everyone will tune back in soon. I don't know if I'll be able to record tomorrow, but definitely really soon. And I hope you've enjoyed your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.